this and that with WAPTech. I'm bringing up notes for videos I never did, or if I did them, these are the leftover notes on my computer. Since they're maybe useful to people, these were notes to self that I never finished. Here we go. The first list is a bunch of links to Beyond Range Files WordPress and BeyondHorizons.eu and Metabunk about the shape of the Earth and it being confused by people because, well, it's actually not that intuitive, figuring out the shape of the Earth being round. Next, sunlight meme. This has to do with people deciding to Mandela effect, the color of the sun. Now, point of fact, if you're not aware of it, really old records say that we went out of our way as a species to make candles that produced flat, white light, not yellow. If a kindergartner in the U.S. colors a picture of the sun, they will usually make it yellow so it stands out against a white background. Painting or drawing in negative space where you make everything darker to where you make a bright spot in the middle of a sheet of paper is considered a somewhat more advanced methodology, bordering on requiring you to teach art technique to a kid who just wants to draw a sun, so they pick yellow. Sometimes used gray. That doesn't mean that they're goth necessarily. However, in kindergarten in Japan, they would normally color it red, because that will also stand out, and it's actually a color that the sun does look like when it gets near the horizon due to the fact that the light goes through more air and it ends up filtering out blue for the same reason the sky is blue. Sometimes the display color of the sun is culturally determined. In spite of artistic license or necessity, the sun really is actually just white, and it is listed as that way in a ridiculously large amount of written data. The only exception to this are people who live in areas with extremely bad pollution, specifically sulfur, which does turn the sky a tint of yellow. Using the shuttle to bring satellites into space is like hauling a desk chair in a dump truck, someone said. The shuttle program makes no sense unless it was designed for a specific purpose. What was the shuttle used for? The sun simulated conspiracy. Please share this video with your friends on social media, or anti-social media, and help me get the word out. The sun simulator conspiracy. Why is the sun white? And at this point I stopped trying. Next. My cross-reference list for Corey Langdon's videos. At one time she took down the original, which was critically important, but I had a copy, and I made a 15-minute YouTube-friendly version because most of the data anybody really needed was within that 15-minute area. She then posted a version of it that had been altered, but it was mostly just to cover people's privacy that they requested. It's acceptable. Anyway, Corey Langdon, cab driver, Mandalay Bay, iPhone shots echo video versus Google Street View, 4th floor, published October 4th, 2017, etc. The video. I did a play-by-play and blow-by-blow on the original uploaded videos that was on, I forgot her name again, anyway, she has the video that says, yeah, well, the inevitable takedown that never happened. People assume that there's going to be suppression of useful data. And it lists from 0 minutes and 0 seconds to 9 minutes and 5 seconds the GPS location for each and every part of the video. And that was considered useful, and I had the video up, and it was actually one of the more popular ones before the channel got torn down, original channel that I had. 2017. The comments were disabled for this 2014 January 20 video that is going to be described. Check out fun animated Answers in Genesis, Possible Nature, God Interpreting Science. The original description of the title was The Nature of Science, and then it says, the Bible often gets attacked as being antiquated and anti-science. I don't think so. I just think some of the proponents that won't knock off their memeing are. But that's not the case, so says the video. In fact, using the Bible as a framework allows us to understand why science is even possible, and to make sense of the past from a solid foundation. Find out more at, and the current description of it is, check this out, the nature of science. Does science trump the Word of God? Search engine much? No way. This fun animated video demonstrates how science couldn't even be possible without God, and how we need to be careful how we interpret evidence. But find out more at Answers in Genesis. What is science? Two kinds of science. Godly science and non-godly science. Or the idea of applied science versus natural science. Or it's just a theory. Anyway, I was going to do a video about it, but the fact is that they disabled comments because too many people showed up doing minute and second marks in their video and saying, you misquoted a book, or you're strawmanning science. Science doesn't say that. There were archives of it. Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. And yes, webarchive.org, web, https, www.youtube.com/watch/G1Z0PAQGJWO. JWO. Just saying. Didn't do a video on it because what's the point? UK-based E2V RF Safe Stop. It uses a pulse of L-band 1 to 2 gigahertz and S-band 2 to 4 gigahertz microwave energy to disrupt the electronics of the target vehicle's components as far as 50 meters, 164 feet away, as a car taser. 20, 18, 100 and 150 millimeter, 100 and 150 millimeters, or 20 and 18 centimeter are the frequency ranges being mentioned. A 3 megavolt per meter at 3 more. It takes about 30,000 volts per centimeter, or about 75,000 volts per inch, to jump a clear air gap. It takes almost 100,000 volts to jump this far if you sustain a voltage and then bring them close together to leap. Once the gap is ionized, the sustained voltage is less and a lower voltage will go through. This is called the striking voltage. Instead of sending a radio frequency signal, you fire a pulse of electricity to cause the oxygen and nitrogen in the air to turn into a plasma. Not quite a noble gas, and it conducts like neon. That's how you get that ribbon of electricity when you use a Tesla coil. Any passenger motor vehicle that does not have a clearance from the surface of the roadway required by this will not be able to have an electrical jump. So if you fire a sucker cup at a car ahead of you and blast it with high voltage because you're dragging a chain behind you to create a loop through the dirt, it won't work. Except for steel-belted radial cars. It can totally do that. The thing is, it doesn't kill the engine. It causes the magnesium-based wheels to burst into flames if you hit them with enough current, and that's why there is no such thing as a real car taser, and these radio frequency signals are based on firing radio signals that disrupt the electronics in the car, hoping it has an electronic computer brain, which most of them do, to make them a lot more easily made. It's easier to make an electronic ignition system and timing system for valves than to just make it really good Swiss watch V8 engine from the 1970s and make it work across a wide range of power bands. That makes it more efficient. That's why we got more efficient cars right now. Coal Havoc, Blogsome, 10-10-5, World Trade Center, normalized noise, red, 911 radio scan, bomb suspect, remote control, exploded Blaine Mossad, mural truck van. Now, I've already covered this. The individuals that are supposed to be the dancing Israelis and whatever, and the other 3 other memed locations are not a mural truck van because that was a faked image someone generated. And the van that there's actually a picture of doesn't have a mural on it. The guy who supposedly recorded this, Robert Stanford, emergency coordinator for the New York City District Amateur Radio Emergency Service, only gets the page that you see. However, Bayscan.net that he went to, quote unquote, is available on the Wayback Machine and has links to Firehouse.com, which still has at least some of the recordings from 9/11 on it, and it doesn't include this recording that's so famous from Coal Havoc. And let's see here. Anyway, this is about a video where I took apart, I have the audio files. the radio report that's supposed to be proving, well, we found a bomb van, it's full of explosives. When you listen to it, and don't assume you're being told the truth, you find out parts of it were looped and redone. I made another version of the video where I tried to dismantle the screw-ups because, quote, here's my cleaned up version of it, but I haven't altered it. And of course, it's a completely altered version because the original, when I did a sound cleanup, showed a lot of editing going on. Neither of the audio recordings is real. They're cut and pastes. Year 2000, June, South Korea, Samsung first 0.35 megapixel camera in a cell phone. And only on 2002, November, in the USA, $400 Sanyo SCP, Secure, Contain, and Protect, 5300 and Sprint 0.3 megapixel camera phone, 640 by 480 pixel. And then 2003, over 80 million were sold worldwide. So during the year 2001, during the period of time when people would need a cell phone so they could mass photograph all this stuff, it just was not that common. Digital cameras were available. I remember having them around, but things were still kind of pricey, and they were still pretty low res. Just saying. So this is a combination of a bunch of things on this set of notes. Farmers in rural areas tend to have weapons that criminals want and have also some money. This is an assertion someone made. They are easy targets for criminals, and only a few instances that nothing has been taken. Meaning they're not just being murdered. Okay. From 2012 to 2018, the number of farm attacks increased in an area, but the murders decreased to the lowest level in 20 years. 33% of 1998's recorded number. So it was lower. You were less likely to get killed, but you were dealing with people who were on farms trying to get stuff, stealing it, and getting caught and responding violently to get away. From 2015 to 2017, South African government data shows 74 murders on farms each year. 48% of the victims of farm attacks were black, Indian, or mixed race people. 9% of the population in South Africa is white. 1,200 attacks and 2,000 murders in South Africa farms from 1991 to 2010. That's 632 attacks and 105 murders per year over a 19-year period of time in an entire country. Wow, that's low. Such and such person, Joseph Farrar is what I have listed here, may have lied about Operation Vula, Night of the Long Knives, Operation White Cleanup, Operation Iron Eagle, Red October Campaign, and Operation Uhuru. See also ex-Office of Personal Management Reagan appointee, who's a racist and white. Why did I bring this up? Someone asked me about white genocide in South Africa and white farmers being murdered en masse. Next. There's no corroboration for Richard Meyer and Clark's NORAD exercise named Vigilant Warrior, as that was a 1994 Persian Gulf U.S. Army response to Iraq troop movements towards Kuwait, while there is twice annual large-scale live flyby Sync NORAD exercise called Amalgam Warrior, and Operation Northern Vigilance was launched in response to Russian drill that week. There was a National Reconnaissance Office building evacuation drill and 2 yearly command level exercises called Vigilant, Guardian, and Global Guardian that could include simulating a traditional politically motivated aircraft hijack where perpetrators seek asylum, but not hijacking it and then crashing it, and land in Cuba like Ireland. 2001, September 10th, after the Red X on May 21st, Pier 92 was the site of Operation Tripod, an antibiotic distribution test where 1,000 police and fire department trainees played terrified civilians afflicted with, the plague or whatever. That's about it. That's all the notes for today. Good day.